good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening, good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host, Shantae Charles. I hope that you are having a great and wonderful day. Believe it or not, this is our countdown to the end of this year. Now, it's not the end of season 10. Season 10 is going to continue, Lord willing, into 2022. But this is our last week of shows for season 10. We're going to have a show on Monday, and we're going to have a show on Tuesday, and we're going to have a show on Wednesday. And then we are going to stop for the year. So our last show for 2021 will be on Wednesday. Now, tomorrow we will be on our Facebook page, Black Table Talk, for episode 56. So if you want to meet us there, where we're going to talk all things Black, you can meet us there tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, I just wanted to come, since it is Monday Motivation, and I wanted to come and talk about 2021. What I know for sure. What have I learned for 2021? I'm sure that you all have some things that you have learned in this year as well. So if you want to jump on and share something that you have learned for 2021, I want to invite you. If you're on my IG, I want to invite you in tonight to just share something that you have learned from 2021. So I'm going to start first. I'm not going to really go in any particular order. I've been thinking about this question to all today, and there is so much that I have learned. It's like all just kind of moving around in my mind tonight. I've had a really busy day. I have had clients since about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I still have a client later this evening. But I just wanted to come and share some things that have really kind of stuck out with me this year, resonated with me about what I know for sure. What I know for sure. What have I learned in no particular order? Um, One of the things that I have learned in 2021 is that you cannot force people to do the right thing for their life. I don't know about you. I don't know if anyone, if you've been encountering in your life these sort of areas where you can see the other side for a person, like you can see their victory, or you can see, man, if they would just do this one thing, it would totally shift their life, right? Or it would totally change things for them. If they just applied themselves a little bit more in this particular area, they would see transformation. Um, it actually have more time to do the things they really want to do in life, right? I don't know if you've encountered that, but I certainly have. And one thing that I know for sure is that you cannot you cannot force someone into a change that they're not ready for. You can't force them to be more ready than they actually are. I often say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. So, as badly, oh my gosh, As badly as I have wanted to see people go to another level, more for a person than they want for themselves. And once I realized that, and once I kind of let go of trying to want more for that person than they want it for themselves, I found a greater level of peace. I found a greater level of calm. I took my hands off of it and I said, you know what? I really about this person. I really want them to succeed. I want them to grow, but I can't want it more than they want it. And if I see now that if that's what's happening, then I recognize I have to take a step back because I don't want to be someone's God. I want them to feel like I can be in their life without the pressure or without feeling like I'm pressuring them into something that they're not ready for, right? So that's one of the things I know for sure. Let's see. The other thing I know for sure, what I know for sure is that I can preserve something and I can grow in my skill to preserve. What do I mean by that? Baby poinsettia. I think I want to bring it over here. So give me just one moment. One moment. Oh, here she goes. I haven't named her. But I am really proud of my baby poinsettia. So there she is. And the reason why I'm proud is because I got this last year. And last year, it was big, it was huge, it was blooming, but it was in one of those, you know, the little store bought containers. And this is actually two. And I really like poinsettias and I like them all year round. And I challenged myself this year because I have not been very person. So I buy, you know, store bought flowers and, you know, I water them and clip them down and all that. And I try to hold on to flowers for about 2 weeks before I, you know, discard them. And I wanted to challenge myself this year to see if I could keep this poinsettia alive until next Christmas. And lo and behold, she is still alive. That was a challenge for me. So, what I know for sure is that if I apply myself to nurturing plant life, I can actually do it because I didn't think I could at all. I was like, thumbs is not. But I was able to do it. And I got a really nice compliment yesterday from someone who worked in a greenhouse. And they said, and I thought this was very interesting what they said. They said typically people consider poinsettias, which is the proper way to say it, people consider these plants throwaway plants. Like, you know, you put them out for a season, and then once they start drying up, you just throw it out. And so she was like, the fact that you're even, you know, you're just starting out as a newbie plant mama, and the fact that you actually took the time to try to nurture it, to keep it alive for a whole year, when most people throw out this plant, was amazing. So I felt very, very good about that. And I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to try to um, keep it growing. And I think if it gets a little bit bigger than what it is now, I may replant it or repot it again. So I actually went out, bought this container, bought the soil for it, repotted it, and it has stayed alive. And I'm very, very excited about that. So what I know for sure is if I put in the work, if I put in the work, I can grow something, I can nurture it, I can sustain it, because there was a point when all the leaves felt very, very lifeless. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've killed. And that was around October. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give up. So I pruned some of the branches on it a little bit. I added more soil. And then daily, I started just working on the soil, lightly watering it, lightly adding water, keeping it away from like direct light. And slowly but surely, it started to bud again. So that's one of the things I know for sure, that if I put my mind to this process of nurturing something, that I can actually succeed in that it can grow. So that's the second. What I know for sure is we all have the capability of choosing a life that we don't regret. We all have the capability of choosing a life that we don't regret. Earlier this year, I resigned from a very good position. It was literally a position that I spent probably about 19 years of my life trying to get to. And I got to this position and I was excited about it. And I was, this is great. And then came COVID. And oh, when COVID came, most people had to make some really stark decisions about their life, right? Some people had to decide, um, do I want to continue working for a company that does not value my health? Do I want to be in a place to take care of my children and really, that was a decision that some people had to make. Career or child rearing, because they could not find child care. My decision was, do I stay in a place that is not valuing my health, not taking seriously that I have immune issues? Do I stay there and risk my life? Or do I take my skills, my talents, my expertise, my know how, and do I go in the direction of remote work? And I made that decision. I had to make that decision this year. Was it hard? Absolutely. Did having savings and all the other things I talk about normally on Finance Friday, did having a savings help to make that decision a little bit more easy? It did. Did my savings work out to help tide me over until I found or figured out what else I was going to be doing? It did. So it was an easier decision for me probably than some other people. But I still had to make that decision. And I will say, looking from when I resigned earlier this year in April to now in December, I would probably say it was the best decision I have made. It was the best decision that I have made. And so, what I know for sure is everybody has a capability of choosing a life that they don't have to regret. I'm going to say that again. Everybody has the capability of choosing a life that they don't have to regret. 2022, I want to challenge people to choose a life that you don't have to regret. You may have some regrets in your past, but looking forward, think about the kind of life that you want to live. Think about your values that you hold. Think about how you value your life, your gifts, your talents, your skills, what you bring to this life as a human being, and decide whether or not you're going to operate out of a place of regret, or if you're going to operate out of a place of moving forward, a place of removing those things in your life that's building regret in your heart. Because one thing that I have seen this year is I've seen people choose the convenient route. There was nothing convenient about walking away from a position that I had literally hoped to get for like 19 years. Nothing convenient about it. But I realized that I had to revamp my entire life if I wanted to live past and live through COVID. It was not an easy decision. Some people did not understand the decision. Um, I walked away from being nominated as an educator of the year. But what good is a nomination if I'm not alive to enjoy it? So again, COVID came and it really made most of us, I won't say all of us, but it made most of us have to evaluate where we were in life, what we wanted out of life, how we wanted to live our life, how far we valued the quality of our own life, if we were willing to risk our life in the hands of a government that didn't know what it was doing and still doesn't. And I'll say it again, and still doesn't. The science is still not sciencing. It's still not adding up. But I can report I've never had COVID, and I plan to keep it that way. And I've tested for antibodies. I've done the regular COVID testing. I've done the public safety piece. I've done all of that. But I'm alive. And so, yes, I could have stayed where I am, where I was, but I saw several of my colleagues either get really ill, permanently disabled, or die. And I didn't see any three of those being a part of my future. So I made some decisions to make sure that that was not a part of my future. And I don't regret those decisions that I made. So, what I know for sure is I do not want to live in regret in any area of my life. And I would hope that those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening, that you would not want to live in a place of regret in any area of your life. What I know for sure, number 4, what I know for sure is people that you value may not value you in the same way that you value them. That's what I really learned this year. That as much as we try to be there for people, right? Or as much as we try to communicate, or as much as we try to put time into relationships, sometimes relationships just don't work out. And it's not anything against the person. It does not necessarily say make the person bad or make the person evil or any of that. It's just sometimes the relationship doesn't work out, or the relationship has expired and it's time for that person to move on, or it's time for you to move on. And there is something to be said about letting people go without any animosity, letting people transition out of your life without any bitterness, letting people move forward in their journey without throwing mud on their name. There's something to be said for that. And I do want to say I appreciate the people who have been in my life this year. There were people that, kind of showed up, and it was, you know, right on the spot, something that I needed right then and there. And, you know, they were there for me, and they were there in that moment, and then they moved on, and it was okay. And I was able to handle it and manage it and deal with it. And so I learned, because I'm a person that really gets attached in relationships. I learned this year that it was okay to let go. It was okay to recognize when someone was transitioning. It was okay to recognize that, hey, this person is no longer playing a part in your story, and that is okay. And there's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing evil about it. That person is not evil. None of that. Is just their time in your story is over. And to be okay with that. So, those are the things that I know for sure. I think if I had more time to sit down tonight and write, I would probably come back and give you 6 more things. But those are the ones that I wanted to share on tonight, of what I know for sure. So if you would like to come on, I will give some space for that. So I'll wait a few seconds here, and I'll see if anybody wants to come on and share tonight something that they learned this year. What do you know for sure in 2021? What has moved you in this year? Have you changed your mind about anything? Have you had some time to reflect? Have you been able to make some difficult decisions? Have you, I know a lot of people this year are grieving. Um, Last year, we lost my husband's father to COVID in July. He passed away a year, no, he passed away a week after our wedding anniversary. So we got the news that he was passing, or that he had contracted COVID, on our wedding anniversary day. And then a week later, he passed away. So for us, 2020 was rough. But a lot of people at that point were not really seeing the loss as much as they are seeing the loss, or have seen the loss this year. So I know a lot of people are dealing with the process of loss. Um, a lot of people are dealing with generational loss. So not just an elder passing, but some people are losing several members of their family. So from all generations, which is even more difficult. So we know that this is also a time, um, where people are dealing with grief. And as I explained to someone on yesterday, grief comes in waves. It's not something that I think will ever go away, like the loss of that person or the feeling of loss of that person. But I think that it does come in waves, and that there are things that can trigger your memory about that person. And that triggering of that memory is what causes that wave to come. So if you would like to come on tonight and share um, something that you've learned in 2021, what has 2021 spoken to you? What do you know for sure? Um, I talked about letting people go and being okay with that. I talked about you can't force people to want something for themselves. Your want for them can't be greater than their want for themselves. I talked about my plant baby, my plant baby, and being able to nurture something that appeared to have gone to bye-bye. Being able to bring that thing back to life and nurture it, and realizing that I could, because again, I did not have a green thumb, but I'm working on my thumb. I'm working on my thumb. It's not green yet, but it's not brown. It used to be brown. But I'm doing better. So if you want to come on and just share one or two things that you know for sure now that 2021 taught you, feel free to press the camera and I will bring you on. So I'll give it a few seconds and see if I see anybody that wants to come on tonight and shout it up. Do 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 all right. I don't have anybody that's going to come on camera, but if you want to leave your statement or your story behind after I'm done, please feel free to do that. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host tonight, Shantae Charles. This has been Monday Motivation. Tomorrow we will be on our Black Table Talk page talking all things Black. And then Wednesday we will be back here for our last episode of the year, and we'll be talking relationships. So again, thank you for your time and attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be light. Take care and God bless.